Welcome to the Launch Family Podcast, where we make sense of modern parenting one real conversation at a time. I'm your host, Jessica Shelley, mom of 6, former teacher, and your trusted friend helping you cut through the noise of today's parenting overload. If you've ever felt overwhelmed in new motherhood, uncertain in your identity, or lost trying to juggle parenting, career, and mental health, this is the episode for you. Today's guest is Melissa Shapiro, a career coach for ambitious moms and a fierce advocate for real, unfiltered conversations about postpartum, identity, and mental health. After her own unexpected challenges navigating birth trauma, postpartum preeclampsia, and depression, Melissa found herself craving a kind of support she couldn't find, so she created it. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to be here.
Yes,
Thanks for
well,
having
I
me.
want to, for sure. I definitely want to give our listeners some context for who you are and a little bit more about what led you to the work that you're doing now. So, can you give us a little bit of background on your experience?
Sure. So I have a pretty eclectic background, I would say. I actually started out as an opera singer. Um, so I have that background. That was like my former life, and then um, went into teaching. Um, and then found my way through like exploring to career coaching. Then realized I loved it, got certified through ICF. Now I'm a certified, ICF coach, about to get my second level, my PCC. And coaching has just been super fulfilling. It has been exciting work. I've gotten to meet really amazing people, and it just really just fulfills me in every way, shape, and form. And then, as you said, I had a really colorful postpartum.
The delicate way to put it.
Let's do that. Let's say colorful. Where yes, I needed to really navigate through a lot of resources and do some serious soul searching to find the help that I needed. And now I want to help other people do the same.
I love that. And I think like it makes it even more powerful too that you have like a lived experience, right? Like it's one thing to just have empathy, but also if you've lived through it, some of those like nuance of, mentality, experiences, this is the right question to ask to the right person. You don't really know until you've lived that. So I'm excited to
Totally.
dive more into that today. And I appreciate your vulnerability on the podcast as well as we kind of talk about some of these heavier things that moms.
Yes, this is not light. This is real life.
Trigger warning. Okay, like this is a deep episode talking about some intense things, but also things that are often not talked about. And I think that that's really initially how we connected, which was, we need to be talking about these things that moms are going through because it can feel so overwhelming and isolating of like, oh my gosh, I think I'm going crazy myself. And how do I actually help myself while I'm also trying to care for my children?
Yep,
So
definitely.
So, for our listeners that are listening in, can you give us a little bit more context, I guess? Like, what was that kind of emotional roller coaster of postpartum? What did that experience look like for you?
Yeah, so pretty much throughout my pregnancy, like I had a very easy pregnancy, thankfully. And I didn't know what that would look like because I had heard so many mixed things, especially because I was, older. I was quote unquote labeled as a geriatric pregnancy, basically because I was just older than 35. Um, but thankfully, everything was great with the actual pregnancy. But I had a really tough postpartum. I want to say like a week after even just coming home from the hospital, I was diagnosed with like postpartum preeclampsia, and I had to go back to the hospital for that, which is a terrible process because like you recently gave birth and the last thing you want to do is go back to the hospital that you gave birth at.
Wow.
Um, but it's so dangerous because unless you check your blood pressure, like you would just not know, which is just crazy. So I got like a very weird, like 1 second flash of a really painful headache. And I was like, that's just not normal for me. Like, I was never the person who got like headaches or migraines. And I told my husband, And he's like, let's check your blood pressure. I was like, okay. And it was really high, like off the charts, like 160 over, I think like 80 or not, like something crazy like that. And he was like, this is like really not okay. This is
Mm.
dangerous. Um, and so, I called my um, OBGYN, and then they were like, just check it in like an hour, just see like what it is. And it kept like fluctuating for like, I want to say 2 days. Like it kept going really high and then it went back to normal, and then really high and then back to normal. And finally, again, like on the third day, it hit a point of getting really high. And um, my doctor was just like, okay, like we've got to put you on a magnesium drip. We've got to, get you back in the hospital. And I was hysterically crying because I didn't want to leave my now new family, I didn't want to be alone. I was obviously all over the place hormonally. And, um, it was just really hard because I pretty much had to do it by myself. Um, and thankfully we had like family come and like watch my daughter and everything like that. But, um, yeah, it was just a really, really hard first thing to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, to those moms that may not have a partner that's like, oh yeah, we should check your blood pressure. Like, what if that wouldn't have been the case? Like, and maybe, if your husband was at work or something and you're at home with the baby and you're experiencing these things and don't think to even bring it up. Like, there's so much going on in those first few days, especially with a brand new baby that you've like your first baby, you
Yeah,
know? And
yeah,
you're like, I have no idea what to expect, let alone like, am I okay? I don't know. I assume everything's okay because I can get up and walk or I
right,
can get a
right,
drink of water. Like,
right.
how would you even know to take a pause and be like, oh yeah, I should check on myself, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Um,
And the fact is, I probably wouldn't if he hadn't said that. And that can lead to strokes.
that's so scary.
Yeah,
And even too, like, even if he's not there and he's at work and he comes home and like even just the thought of like, oh yeah, earlier I had this pain, like you wouldn't even bring that up maybe to your partner.
right,
It's more of like, oh yeah, here's the baby and we're gonna get ready. I want to go take a
right.
shower.
Like you're just focused
Like,
on the baby too. Like you're not
yeah,
even focused on your own health and self
right.
care at that point. You're just like, keep this thing alive.
Exactly. It's like survival right there. What do you say to moms that maybe, if they're approaching like their first pregnancy or even like I've had 6 children, okay, and I have never checked
That's
my
insane.
blood pressure after any
Wow.
postpartum. So I'm like, well, maybe that should just be like part of routine. Like they don't tell you all of those things. They're like, oh, just come back to the hospital if you have like a clot that's,
They
however.
really should.
They
They
don't
really
tell you anything.
should. They
Yeah.
should like send you home with like warning signs.
Yeah.
Like if you have X, Y, and Z, like this is not normal, call
Hmm.
us back,
Yeah.
come
And
back
I think it's like
immediately.
also too, like this kind of I think back to like the prenatal stuff too of like, oh, if you're fearful about something or if you haven't felt your baby move, it's better to just go in than it is to like wait it out. And we talk a lot about that before the baby's born, but we don't talk a lot about that after, to your point of like we should
Right.
have more information about warning signs.
Yeah.
What are I guess like okay, we'll put a pin in the conversation there because I think like that is like the whole kind of premise of this, right? And like the pregnancy journey is unique for all of us, and
Yeah.
also to try to balance like the anxiety of taking care of me as a mom. Is it something to be concerned about? We don't know. Like we're not unless we're a medical professional. Like we just don't have that background knowledge.
Exactly.
um, you know, how has this experience of your postpartum now helped you influence like what you do with your coaching or like how else are you supporting moms now based on your personal experience?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the next part of my crazy postpartum is that I, had really, really bad postpartum depression. And I think like after a certain point, like what they call it, like baby blues at first.
Right.
And then like after a certain point, they're like, oh, by the way, like now it's actually depression or like something like that.
Yeah, like when's the
Like
cutoff?
you've
Like, is this
successfully
normal
passed
or
the cutoff.
yeah. Oh God.
Um, and I mean, I had it really bad. Like, again, no one talks about it. Like,
Yeah.
you hear, oh, I had postpartum depression, and you're like, oh, that sounds really bad. But like, again, like, no one really knows what that actually like looks like or means. And of course, it's going to be different for everyone. But
Mm.
for me, um, I just I kept having these like terrible, terrible thoughts. I was so scared at one point. I remember to hold my daughter. I was like, I can't even hold her because I'm scared I'm going to want to like hurt her.
Mm.
And that's terrifying, especially when you're seeing, all the people on social media after their pregnancy, like, this is the best day of my life. And like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so obsessed with my little girl already. And it's been like a day. And this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I didn't feel that way. I never felt, you know, just kind of like that, like in love moment for a while. For a while. It took me, I would say, like 6 months to really feel a strong connection with my daughter. Um, and like now we're so goofy together and like we're stupid and like it's funny. But
Love that.
but yeah, I did not have that like I'm meant to be a mom like moment. Um, and I didn't know anyone who went through what I went through. So again, um, just being really honest about a lot of people's experiences that just don't get brought up these days and don't get featured. And it's okay if it's not like butterflies and roses when you have a kid. Like, you don't have to be like Susie Sunshine and be obsessed with your child the second you have them. And that's okay. That's more than okay. Like, we have to normalize that.
Yeah. I love I mean, I don't love this for you, but I love how you bring attention to the fact that it's beyond like baby blues too. Like postpartum is like longer than just a few weeks. Like it's longer than just like the fourth trimester of like, oh, 6 weeks later or 10 weeks later. It's like the whole year after you have a baby that these things can kind of start to come up. And,
Yeah.
um, you know, with my personal journey, and I'll kind of share this too, but my second son, he was born, he was, thriving, all of those things, and mine hit me at like 4 months old when
Mm.
he was 4 months old because he started having medical complications, and my oldest two are about 12 months apart. So I had a 1 year old at home, I had a 4 month old, and I was at the children's hospital for 3 weeks with him. And it was just an
So hard.
overwhelming sense of like, I can't do this. Like, I can't be there for my 1 year old. I'm a terrible mom. Like, all of like the whole cycle of everything of like, my son is here because of something I did, right? Like, we're going to all these therapies because of me. That's not true. Like,
No,
but when you're in
not at all.
that sort of vulnerable stage of all of the hormones are all over the place, we're all out of whack. We just had a baby. Like, it is what it is. Like, it is so hard not to realize like your own, like, okay, from the outside you could see like, oh man, something is happening, like this person may be spiraling, or these thoughts are coming up, or behavior is different. And when
Yeah.
it's yourself, it's really hard to identify that. Or even the questionnaires, like, how many times have I gone to postpartum appointments and they're like, okay, do you have any of these, do you have any of these, do you have any of these? It's like, nope. It's like, okay, well, that's 6 weeks, that's at my 6 week checkup postpartum. Like, there's
Mm.
nothing that goes beyond that until
Right.
your annual visit. And you're
Right.
like, okay, so it's just relying on me to then vocalize when I may not even realize what's actually happening until, you know,
Yeah. You have to be
and
super aware,
yeah.
super, super aware of anything that just doesn't feel normal. And
Mm-hmm.
then, like, trust that gut reaction of, like, this is out of place. This is not my normal routine. This feels weird. This feels off. Like, and just trust it.
Yeah. Because there is so much that feels off, right? Like when you bring a new person to your house, or if you have your first child, like there is so much that feels out of routine. So it's hard to have that kind of confidence or discernment, even of like, is this normal or is this not normal? Um,
Right. And then add the lack of sleep, and it's just like a
oh,
recipe for disaster.
right, right, right. And I know that you mentioned too, like you had a support system there. You had family that was able to come over. You had your
Yeah.
cousin that was like checking on you. You know, what kind of guidance would you give to moms that may feel like isolated, or maybe their partner's not as involved, or they don't live close to family? Like, what are some other ways that they can, reach out and find community around that?
Yeah, I mean, what really helped me was joining a fourth trimester group.
Mm.
And that was, I had a local um, place near my house that hosted it. So I actually went in person and everyone brought their like newborn babies.
Mm.
Um, so that was at somewhere called the Nesting Place. And they were wonderful. But I do know that like Postpartum International online, um, PPI, I believe it's like Postpartum International or like Institute, they have free meetings where you can drop in and just be vulnerable and share what you're going through, and it's other parents, it's other moms, coming in and talking about their own experiences so that you don't have to feel like you're going through it alone. And they also have a lot of resources too for like therapists who specialize in postpartum and mother issues and parent issues and stuff like that. So it's a really good resource.
I love that there's things that are available, and I love that you mentioned, community specific ones where you can get connected to moms physically, like within your area. But then, if you don't have those sorts of resources, there are ones that are maybe more nationwide that you could reach out to. So, um, one other thing that is really big about what we connected about was like this ambitious moms, working moms, how to balance, leave and HR and health needs and things even beyond, just the pregnancy and postpartum period.
Yeah.
Um, what can you tell us more about that part of what you do?
Yeah. So part of what I do is also helping moms who, are planning leave. Maybe they are planning to get pregnant or they are pregnant and they're trying to sort of figure out, okay, like when do I tell my employer? Like, what does that look like? What's the plan? Um, what's the plan for like my leave, like who's supporting my role, just making it really seamless and easy for the mom to be in terms of navigating that process. And for me it wasn't super easy. um I sort of had to write out like this whole plan, and they weren't open to hiring anyone, so other people on other teams had to take it over who like really didn't have much experience in what I did. Um, so it was rough. It was rough, and I knew it was going to be rough. Um, Part of what I also do is like working with companies and talking to them and helping them figure out, okay, how can we supplement this work? Do we need to hire a contractor, or can we spread it out among other people? So, it's not always best to do to other people. Like maybe it is hiring someone temporary. Um, and it depends. It's different for every person and for every company. So again, like I help these people have conversations about it, make it more normal, and just really make it easy for both parties involved.
I love that dual-sided approach too, because it's more than just the mom coming prepared to HR with like her plan or what she can do, but it's also that the company needs to be receiving of that as well. And every company has their own policies and procedures and things that they handle. And I was a teacher at the time that I had my children, and so there
Mm-hmm.
was like a whole bunch of complexity with like the FMLA, and like even just the term health
Right.
is overwhelming. Like if
Yeah.
you've never gone through it before, you're like, wait, which one was that? Is that like the short term disability or FMLA, or how does it
Right.
overlap? What does my pay actually look like? How can you kind of support your family as you move through that? So I love that you provide that kind of dual sided approach in
Yeah.
support.
Yeah, like let's just simplify this process and make it easy for everyone involved. Because that's really what, like, both parties actually just want the same thing, right?
Yeah.
They just like, the mom wants to know that like her job's still going to be there and that she's still supported, and that when she comes back she's not going to be like ostracized, or like there's not going to be anything taboo because like she just had a kid, like she'll still be able to, you know, go on and potentially get a leadership role if that's what she wants. So you know, yes, I think the more we talk about this stuff in the workplace, um, and the more we just make everything just well known, like what's really going on,
Yeah.
um, even with the, you know, the partner who's not the birthing parent, right? Like they also are you know, doing a ton of things as well, and should,
Yeah.
you know, get treated as such. So I think we're making some progress in even like having these conversations and making things less taboo on the whole topic of parental leave and what it actually means and how people shouldn't get penalized for having a child.
Right.
um, you know, I think it is becoming a little bit more mainstream, and you know, I have seen a lot of people advocating for it. So, um, you know, the awareness is coming.
Yeah, I think we're definitely in the mentality and mindset as a society to be more open to it. And also the conversations that have been like laying the foundation, right, for decades of, maternal care and, how to navigate leave and all of those things and resources that are coming into fruition. And now that we're seeing, more women that are rising into leadership roles and that have this kind of ambitious sort of future perspective of where they're headed, it is demanding more of,
Yeah.
traditional sort of roles in companies. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm glad that we're having these conversations. And, before we close out today at Lunch Family, we've created a tool called Emmy, which is like a parenting guide that's powered by research and also like a compassionate lens and voice. So we have a couple questions that we're hearing from moms, and I just wanted to get your take on those. So the first
Sure.
question is I need to go back to work, but I'm mentally not ready. So, any tips for navigating that transition, especially when the systems might not be supportive, or if you're already like approaching the end of your 12 weeks or whatever, however long your leave is, but you're not ready to go back? What what should we do?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I was there. Like I was that person. I actually extended my leave. Um, I did it through my therapist. We had to fill out some forms. She made it, she was wonderful. You know, she's like, whatever you need, you know, I will cooperate with you. And she's like, you know, let's like really get into how you're feeling. Let's like make sure that when you go back, you are, you know, in a headspace where you feel confident, you feel like you can, you know, take this on and slowly like reintegrate back into the workforce. So that for me was really helpful. And ultimately she was the one who helped me with it. But again, if you're just not ready, and it's not like a health related issue, I would have an honest conversation with your boss. And this is something I also help with in terms of transitioning back, because we shouldn't expect people to just full time transition back right after having a kid, right? Like there should be a process for slowly reintegrating that person back. You know, whether it's um, a few days a week they're working, whether it's half days, whether it's, you know, part time again to begin with, and then like have a plan. But that's another thing that I talk to employers about as well, is just having the empathy and having the understanding that a lot of people are, you know, we don't have a ton of time compared to other countries, especially in terms of leave. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very possible that people, you know, do not want to go back when they're, or go back full time and immerse themselves right back in. So how can we as a society, um, you know, really take that in, and what can we do if we're hired, like for example, if we're hiring a contractor, like I was saying, when the parent is out or the mom is out, you know, do we want to keep that contractor on for like a few more months, just, to really get that transition? Maybe they work part-time and maybe the mom works part-time, or, you figure something out and do it in a way that makes sense for everyone.
Yeah. I appreciate that perspective too, because it can be blended. Like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, 6 weeks here, half time, blah 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 blah. Like, it can be much more flexible. And I've appreciated that piece of, I've done half days. Like, I only worked the afternoons for a couple weeks, and then I was working up towards like 6 hours a day and then 8 hours a day. Just because life personally looks so different, no matter how much
Right.
life you have. But like, however you're acclimating, it is like their whole life is turned upside down, and they want to be there. They want to be in the job. They want to like come back, but also at the same time, like, we have this pull and this new responsibility at home, to take care of a whole other person, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so,
And you're getting your sleep back on track. It's
right,
just, there's
yeah,
so many different parts of it.
yeah, and then like the society pressure too of like, oh, you need to just bounce back and go back to work, or
Right.
oh my gosh, you're a bad mom. I can't believe you went back to work and you should be bonding with your baby. Like, you can't win. You can't win.
I know.
It's just crazy. But the last question that I had, or that was written in, was, I don't know who I am anymore, through like this
Mm,
process. So what
yeah.
has helped you reconnect with your identity and being more?
Oh man, that really hits home. That
Yeah.
really hits home because I same thing. I kind of felt like, who am I now? Like, as a mom, as a human in the world, like, how have my beliefs changed? How do I think about life now? It's just like, you ask all these like big questions because it's true. You're taking care of someone else. It's a huge responsibility difference, and it does make you kind of question everything. Um, I I mean, again, a lot of it takes time. A lot of it is time, and also knowing that, like, again, this is like a normal thing. You're it's not like you are weird or something's wrong with you. Like, this is totally normal to feel that way, totally normal to go through this. Um, and again, I think joining some sort of group, whether it's virtual or in person, connecting with other people in the similar situations, again, like, um, you're going to be reassured, again and again, that, oh yeah, I felt that way, or like, I'm feeling that way too, or, and this is what's helped me. Um, for and also, it's just like kind of going inward and saying to yourself, like, hey, like, self-care wise, like, what will make me feel good right now in this moment? Is it going to be taking a walk outside? Is it going to be um, taking a shower? Is it going to be, I don't know, reading a book, watching TV? Again, like, doing things for you that fill up your cup and kind of bring you back to, oh yeah, like, this is what I liked to do before I had my child. Like, I can still do this.
Yes. Yes.
um,
I love
so
that.
so stuff like that. And again, like, it's going to take time.
Hmm.
It's not it's not just going to be like, okay, I'm back to myself.
Yeah, we don't snap back. No, that's not it.
No.
But I think too, it is that the evolution, right? Of, as soon as you can do one thing, like, you feel like you got it, okay, the next thing is coming. You're on a new stage with your child. I think that's something that, I mean, the question, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't think we ever fully know, right? Until, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still living in this stage, so I don't know if I know who I am, or when that kind of ends. And so for the listeners too, I love that you mentioned, reaching out to the community, having those connections, doing those things that you enjoy doing, those hobbies. I know for me that was taking a drive. Like, I could put all of my kids in the car, they're buckled in, they're safe, we're gonna just listen to some music and go for a drive, look at the beach, look at the mountains,
Mm,
wherever we are.
I love
um,
that. And I love how you incorporated them with, things you like to do. but also telling, listeners that it's okay if you need to separate from your child and do something for yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for showing up with like the vulnerability and the
Yeah.
heart and strength to share more of your story with us today. I hope the big takeaway for our listeners is the permission to really speak their truths and what they're going through, and the ability and courage to, ask for help and know that they're not alone as they navigate all of the complexities that is motherhood. Your work reminds us that being ambitious and being a mom don't have to compete. You can grow in both together.
Yeah, definitely.
For our listeners, if today's episode resonated with you, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and check the show notes for links to Melissa's coaching, her favorite postpartum resources, and how to connect. Until next time, remember, you're not alone, and parenting doesn't have to be a solo mission. We're here with you, cheering you on every step of the way.